Hi, I'm Dr. Ellen Marmur, Menopause DERM. I'm sharing my journey through menopause because I think that there's so many myths and mystique about it. And here we are today with Dr. Georgia Witkin, one of my favorite people in the world. She is an assistant professor at Mount Sinai in psychiatry and OBGYN, best-selling author of 13 books, just sold 5 movies, and the list goes on and on. But she has a new article that's being highlighted in Psychology Today magazine called Debunking Stereotypes About Menopause. So let's get to it. The first one that you have here is, in midlife, self-esteem actually does not decline. Tell us more.
But we hear about that all the time.
Yes.
That the older you get, the less you feel good about yourself. The real data, and listen, if you are Googling about self-esteem and menopause, make sure you put the word research after your search term, and then you'll get the real studies. And the studies say something very, very different. Your self-esteem gets better, believe it or not, the majority. And I was really curious, so I did more research because I felt that way. And they said it's for a lot of reasons. One is you stop looking at yourself through everyone else's eyes when you get older, and you start looking out at the world through yours. You know, your values shift and your opinions shift. Number 2, you don't care so much about what other people think because you're busy forming your own opinions by now. You stop shoulding on yourself instead of I should do this and I should think that. It's like, this is who I am. So once there's more self-acceptance, which is by now, forget it, I'm not going to give up my chocolate every night. You know, you begin to really just parent yourself and the other voices go away. So I found that very, very interesting. What the studies also say is that the myth of depression, that everybody, gets depressed when they're older and they, look in the mirror and so forth, that's not true too.
Here with Dr. Georgia Witkin, in midlife, depression is not more likely. I know economists talk about people becoming happier over time, and after the age of 50, I think even starting like at the age of 54, your happiness starts to go way up. So
I'm so glad you know that.
Yeah.
That's actually true.
I was looking forward to it. I was like, oh, can I just turn 54?
So depression declines actually as you get older, and it's for a lot of reasons. First of all, a lot of the stresses about my job, my kids, etc., they go away. But the University of California did a study of over 1,000 people who were 50 and older and found that depression actually declined. One thing you have to contend with, the older you get, is the more you're losing friends. But until that begins to happen, and even after it begins to happen, the older you are, the closer you are to your siblings. Do you know most siblings don't even like each other until they enter their 60s and 70s and they really need each other? And you build communities, so that's very important, antidepressant. If you find that you are getting depressed, you're finding you have more negative memories than positive memories, because as you get older, you tend to really create memories that are positive, create experiences that are positive. And if you're not doing that, please see your physician, first of all, to get yourself physically checked out. And then if you need support from a therapist, even if it's short term, get somebody who can help you focus on the positive. I work with first responders, and when I say, what got you through COVID? They said at the end of every day, we went through a list in our heads of everything we have to be thankful for. And it really brought serotonin up, it brought a sense of peace, and it refocused me. And I think we do it naturally as we get older, but if you need help doing it, seek somebody out. Even just for a few sessions and helping you rewire how you're thinking, because what we've learned is that it's not feelings governing our thinking, but it's our thoughts that govern our feelings. So we're in full control.
That's amazing. I love that.
I do too.
Number 3, in midlife, personal relationships are not more strained.
I was amazed when that began to happen. PMS, that was the biggest strain of all, on all my relationships. Because during those 4 or 5 days where my mood shift, you couldn't tell me it was hormonal. I knew it was real. 3 days after, it let up, I would say, what was I so upset about? All of that goes away. But some other things begin to happen too. The menopausal symptom, try to think of them as inconvenient. Not devastating, but just a change. My mother saw everything that happened to her with her 5 cancers as change. So when she started to have hot flashes, she would say, oh, the body is bringing my skin all of this blood and oxygen. It's keeping me young. Every hot flash she would say, oh, this is so good for my skin. Is that true?
If she didn't have rosacea, yeah.
But it got, a new perspective for her. With relationships also, I think that the more you mature, the more you have a perspective, the more you're able to see people's foibles as part of them and not take it all personally and stop trying to change people because you don't want to be changed. And I think it becomes easier for those reasons. We're built for daily life. And I think once we start to relax and enjoy daily life, everything becomes easier.
Definitely. Number 4, in midlife, sex life is not over. So I know in TV you couldn't even say the word vagina until kind of recently. Sex lives of women over the age of 50 in menopause, not over yet. Tell us.
Isn't that a surprise?
No, it's not a surprise.
When I was in training at Mount Sinai, Ralph Schiavi was our teacher, and he was saying things like, do you know women over 50 in general statistically report having more orgasms than women under 50? And we would say, what? And he would say, well, think about it. Women really like foreplay, not just the act of sex. And the older men get, if your partner is a male, the slower they get biologically, and that's great for women. So there's more foreplay, lovemaking takes longer, and that really makes them far, far more likely to have an orgasm. But more than that, what the research says is that the older women get, the more they accept their bodies. And they are who they are, and they accept their partner, they accept themselves, so they actually become not only more relaxed, but they become apparently more adventurous, statistically. No personal experience of that.
That's great news for everyone. Our final segment right now with Dr. Georgia Witkin is back to stress and menopause. So you're counseling somebody who's talking about this overwhelming feeling of stress because of menopause. How do you help them?
Okay, so stress always goes up when your sense of control goes down, when you can't predict what's happening next. So the more you actually research the real stuff, not what Aunt Fanny is saying, the more you'll have a sense of control and know that you have lots of choices and there's a lot of things that you can do. Women never lived as long as we're all going to be living. Anyone alive now supposedly can live into their 90s or can. So some of it means that we're all pioneers. There's a lot of research being done on hormone replacement and nutrition and, of course, exercise to burn up adrenaline. Here's what I find helps the most. Number 1, find friends going through exactly what you're going through. So when they say, I understand, they're telling the truth. Because if somebody in their 30s goes, oh, I understand, you say, yeah, well, they don't understand. So find a support group. Find everything you can laugh at with regard to the inconvenient side of it. And really emphasize the positive side of being finished with your period, of being at a stage where someone else is taking care of the kids because they're now 30 years old. And it really can be fun. I've loved it.